In a world with great kingdoms and legendary beasts, heroes are the ultimate saviors who protect the land and the people. Heroes hold all the power and absolute might to take down evil forces and vanquish their foes. However, heroes can also easily be brought down by betrayal and by a loss of strength. There once existed a hero who reached great heights of power and helped the world as much as he could. But when he was on the verge of dying, he wished to be reborn as a simple human, someone who could live an ordinary life without any of the troubles from his previous life. The hero who made this wish wakes up as Alan, the oldest son of the House of Westfeld and the most ordinary individual in the kingdom. His younger brother despises him for not accomplishing anything and not gaining any powerful skills. Alan didn't even receive a blessing from the gods, which is something that even the weakest person in the world gains. Alan's father, the Duke of Westfeld, decides to banish his son due to his incompetence, but unbeknownst to him, this is exactly what Alan wanted. He leaves the lavish manor behind and starts his solitary journey, hoping to achieve a peaceful life. Alan decides to go to the borderlands, where he comes across two girls fighting against wolves made out of stone. One of the girls is a knight. Her name is Beatrice, and she is trying to protect Princess Lisa. Alan remembers how Lisa was always kind to him and would defend him when others called him weak. Alan jumps into action and uses his strong powers to take care of the wolves, leaving the two girls in awe. He also heals Beatrice's wound and their cart. Lisa explains that she received a revelation that she must travel to a nearby village where a hero needs her help. Alan decides to accompany them as well, even though this isn't the peaceful life he was looking for. He also asks Lisa why she didn't report him back to the Westfeld Kingdom, considering his true powers, but Lisa assures him that she considers Alan a friend and would never betray him like that. The three of them arrive at the village where the hero, Akira, is being cast out by the villagers. They seem angry and do not want Akira to be there. Lisa approaches Akira and explains that she once met Akira, and now she is meant to help her out. At first, Akira does not remember Lisa, but she soon recalls their past connection and takes the group to a nearby inn. Akira explains that she was wandering around when she came across a scared little girl. The girl told her that she was sent to the dragon as a form of sacrifice by the villagers. Akira told the girl to stay put while she investigated, and when she arrived at the village, no one told her the truth. In fact, they wanted her gone altogether. Akira now has to defeat the dragon at the top of the mountain because she believes the dragon is being given human sacrifices in exchange for its protection. As Akira explains this, Alan and the others decide to help her out and go with her to defeat the dragon. The group set out towards the mountain, where they come up with a plan. Akira instructs everyone to attack from the side while she attacks from the front. Alan thinks this is quite dangerous and offers to go through the front, but Akira knows that Alan is not normal. She wants to kill the dragon on her own. The group starts to implement the plan, and Akira charges first, confronting the dragon head-on. The dragon, who considers himself to be a king, mocks Akira and reveals that he deliberately let the little girl run away so that he could see what sort of amusement would follow. He likes to see the despair on people's faces as he kills them and wants more fun. Hearing the dragon makes Akira incredibly angry, and she uses her powers to take down the dragon, but fails. Her attacks do not go through it. The little girl is also on the mountain and begs Akira to save her. Akira can only watch helplessly as the dragon is about to kill her, but then Alan arrives and slices off the dragon's wings. Lisa and Beatrice also come to the rescue and take Akira and the little girl to safety. Alan engages in battle with the dragon, and his attacks manage to penetrate the beast, which leaves the dragon in shock. He doesn't understand how a mortal being like Alan could possibly challenge him so easily, but the dragon doesn't know that Alan is actually an extremely powerful hero, reborn as a normal person. The dragon moves towards Lisa and the others, trying to make it difficult for Alan to unleash his attacks, but he still manages to use his world end ability and strikes the dragon, destroying it once and for all. His attack even shatters the blade he is using. Lisa immediately rushes over Alan's side, making sure that he is okay. Alan wonders that even though this isn't the peaceful life he sought after, he still gets to help the people who believe in. After the fight with the dragon, Alan and the others rest up. Alan finds himself asleep beneath a tree, and he wakes up to Lisa tending to his wounds and Beatrice and Akira training with each other. The little girl is always with them. Alan watched Lisa heal Akira's wounds and realized that Lisa is the legendary Saintess healer that people have been talking about. Lisa apologizes for not revealing her identity sooner, but Alan doesn't mind. The time comes for the group to part ways. Akira and the little girl she saved head towards a different direction. Akira likes to wander around, and the little girl has become fond of her, so she decides to take care of her from now on. Alan, Lisa, and Beatrice decide to go to a nearby town where Lisa knows a master smith. She believes this smith can forge a new sword for Alan. At first, Alan is glad for the help, but wonders whether Lisa has to return to the capital. Lisa reveals that she has Beatrice with her, and her father already knows. With their mind at rest, the group make their way towards the town. On the way, they stop for a rest and make a small campfire. Lisa rests her head against Alan, and he remembers the night they first met. Lisa is also from a great kingdom, and they were introduced to each other as children. At that time, Lisa and Alan were meant to marry each other, but now that Alan is no longer part of the Westfeld kingdom, Lisa is no longer his fiancée. Meanwhile, back at the Westfeld Manor, the Duke hears of the dragon's defeat and is enraged. He set up the dragon as a trap for the hero Akira in order to bring her down, but his plan failed. When he hears that Lisa, the Saintess, helped the hero, he orders his lackeys to follow her around and keep an eye on her. Back in town, Lisa takes Alan to the smith. But when they enter her house, they find that she has fallen unconscious. Lise heals her and introduces the smith as Noel, an elf who can craft amazing swords. Noel wants to create a sword for Alan that only a hero can wield. She believes that Alan could have the power to wield such a sword. She sets out to craft the weapon and tells the others to come back later. Alan and the rest head to town, where Alan sells off the dragon scales for money, while Lise initiates a secret plan behind his back. Alan also comes across two mysterious individuals who ask him about the dragon scales. The man called Horace and his partner, Mylene, work for the Duke, but Alan doesn't know that. They simply ask him questions about the dragon and leave. Horace then contacts the Duke and tells him that the Saintess has hired another guard, but he does not know his true identity. The next day, Lise and the others meet with Noel once more and find that she has collapsed due to exhaustion again, but the sword that she was working on is ready. Noel gives Alan a sword that looks very strong and powerful. Noel wants to see Alan test out the sword, so they head towards the forest. On the way, Alan asks Noel why she decided to become a smith, since this is a job more suited for dwarves, and Noel is an elf. She reveals that as a child, she had no family and was dying out in the wilderness, but a dwarf named Vanessa, her master, took her in. Vanessa was a smith, and Noel wanted to follow her master's footsteps. After their conversation, Alan once again runs into Horace and Mylene, who show more curiosity towards Alan and his actions. Alan gives them no more thought and moves forward with Noel, letting Horace and Mylene leave. Alan uses the sword to kill a bunch of monsters, and Noel admires his skills. They head deeper into the forest, where they come across a huge beast. Noel recognizes this as the beast who killed her master and wants Alan to use the sword against it. Noel away her attention from forging the weapons. This greatly inspired Noel, and now, as she stands before the monster who killed her master, she wants to destroy the beast, reports the incident to Lisa and Beatrice, and believes that Fenrir has probably prompts Horace to unleash Fenrir on her again, but this time, Alan arrives just in time and blocks the attack. Horace realizes that he greatly underestimated Alan, and that he made a mistake by coming to aid Noel. Alan heals the tired Noel and carries her back to the inn where Lise and the others are. Now they have Mylene with them, and the spell Horace had on her is also broken, but they do not know what to do with her. Beatrice is afraid that Mylene may try and while the atmosphere is a little eerie, the inhabitants of the village seem to be cheerful. They are preparing for a festival known as the Returning Spirits Festival. During this time, the villagers dress up like ghosts and dance around a fire. They do this to honor their ancestors and to welcome the dead amongst them. While the festival is a little creepy, it would appear that maybe the rumors surrounding the village were also just fake. They decide to head towards the graveyard where the night hacker. She wakes up screaming and Alan comforts her. The festival begins and the villagers are all dressed in spooky costumes. Each villager from before returns and urges them to join. Lise decides to stay behind while Alan and Beatrice join in the festivities, is trying to kill her. In their world, there are 5 people with great inborn gifts that can rival the kingdom. The hero has an inborn gift to fight monsters, while Noelle also has an inborn gift to forge powerful weapons. Lise is also one of them, as a saintess healer, and the king believes that those with inborn gifts can use their powers to dethrone him and execute the will of God. This is why he wants all of them dead. Lise refuses to believe him, and this causes her uncle to attack her, but he is weak. He tells her that he is in fact dead, but now that he has returned for a brief moment, he wants her to live a happy life. He thanks Alan as well and requests 2 things from him. First, he wants Alan to take care of Lisa, and second, he wants Alan to spar with him so that he can judge that Alan is strong enough to protect Lisa. Alan agrees, and the 2 of them begin their fight as Lisa watches on. Tears fill her eyes as she remembers her uncle, whom she also considered a father. The fight ends, and it is now time for her uncle to go back. His body falls back to the ground as Lisa mourns over him. The festival also ends, and the village is now in a deadly silence, as he is approached by the village head, who finally reveals the truth of the village. He realizes that Alan already noticed that everyone in the village is dead, and the one controlling them is the village head. He turns around to face the man, as he reveals himself to be a demon. He wants Alan to come under his control as well, and raises an army of the dead, but Alan once again uses his powerful skills to slice. The head of the village is defeated, and things return to normal for now. Meanwhile, the Duke has been keeping a tab on everything, as a demon gives him a report on recent events, letting him know that the attempt to kill Lisa has failed again. Lisa receives a message that General Cyril, the one who was assassinated, has returned. Things are beginning to escalate as the Duke and his youngest son, Brett, start to put their plan in motion. Brett recalls how during his entire life people considered Alan to be way more smart and powerful than him, and when their mother died, the loss left them even more isolated and detached from each other. Brett always hated his brother, even though Alan would often try to comfort him and show him kindness. But now, Brett and his father, the Duke, are going to bring about the end of the kingdoms and the gods. In the capital, news of the assassinated general coming back from the dead have caused chaos to spread amongst the people. The general is set to address the people in a ceremony, and everyone is confused about his sudden appearance. Captain Edward, one of the 5 people born with powerful gifts and leader of the kingdom's army, is assessing the situation with his subordinate named Clark. He remains calm as Clark tries to make him understand the gravity of the situation. But for Edward, protecting the kingdom is all that matters. The 2 of them step into an alley where a hooded figure stops them. Clark jumps into action, but the hooded figure is actually the Archbishop. He has come to meet with Edward to discuss important things. Edward follows the Archbishop to a training ground, where he realizes he has been led into a trap. The Duke steps forward and fights Edward. He reveals that the Archbishop has already sided with the Duke, and that now they also have demons joining their plan. The Duke wants to bring down the hero, along with the rest of the kingdom and the gods. Edward thinks that he has gone insane, and continues to fight him in a heated battle. Meanwhile, Brett is in a carriage, where he is thinking about the moment he leveled up as a child, and his father noticed him for the first time, but then he started to hate Alan, which made Brett a little upset. His thoughts are interrupted by the demons entering his carriage and discussing the plan with him. Brett intends to use his controlling abilities to create a puppet of General Cyril and have him address the people, revealing to them the truth of the world and denouncing the world of gods. The demons leave in order to deal with Akira, who has also arrived in the city. The little girl, who is now called Sarah, is also with her, and the two of them get surrounded by cloaked demons who are ready to kill Akira and the girl. Meanwhile, Clark, who is looking for Edward, is also ambushed by the demons. The demons first try to get him to join their side, but when he refuses, they attack him and his men. The people are gathered at the city square where General Cyril, being controlled by Brett and the Archbishop, reveals their plan. They tell the citizens of the kingdom that gifted powers are bad, and those with special gifts are the enemies of the world. They tell everyone that the kingdom and God have been lying to the people, but now a new system will be set in place. Brett then walks in and addresses the people himself. First, he shows the people a monster made out of sorcery and assures them that this sort of monster will be used to safeguard the kingdom. He then tells them that through the use of his puppet abilities, he can help bring out latent gifts within the people, and they can use those to control their own lives and faith. He also reveals that the demons have also been included with the plan, which greatly scares people, but Brett assures them that the demons will also help bring down the curse inflicted on every person by the gods. The lies and treachery continue to be spilled out in front of the entire crowd as Edward and the Duke still keep fighting. The Duke has greatly increased his strength because he has been leveling up, causing Edward to falter during the fight. Edward tries to get back up, but the Duke prepares to deliver a killing blow, which is deflected by Akira. She survived the attacks of the demons, chasing through the help of a blessed amulet that Alan gave to her. And now she is ready to face the Duke head-on. In another part of the city, Clark, who is almost about to die at the hands of the demons, is saved by Beatrice and Mylene, who confront the demons for their devious plan. Meanwhile, Brett continues to revel in the chaos, but he stops when he notices Alan standing in the crowd. Brett seethes in anger as Alan stands before him and demands him to stop what he is doing. Brett watches in horror as his entire plan falls before him. Beatrice and Mylene have a communication device through which they are broadcasting everything the demon is saying to Alan. The broadcast is then being played by Alan in front of the entire town as the demon explains the plan. The demon reveals how their plan is to take direct control of people's abilities and gifts, and that the kingdom and gift users like Princess Lise need to be eliminated, as they will only get in the way of the plan. Hearing this message causes the people to finally understand the scheme being created by Brett and the Duke. Brett screams in frustration as his entire plan falls apart and people no longer believe his lies. He uses his powers to rile up the monsters made out of sorcery, inciting more chaos in the city. Alan saves the people from the monsters and stops Brett's powers from activating. He then pulls Brett forward and punches him, causing his brother to fall unconscious. But chaos has already spread, and monsters and demons alike have appeared in the city, terrorizing the people. Alan knows that he must face his father now, even though Lisa is worried about him. Alan comforts her and remembers the last time he met his father, and he coldly banished Alan from the Westfelt territory. Even so, Alan has people who want to protect now, so he rushes to confront his father. Meanwhile, Beatrice and Mylene take care of the demon they were confronting. The demon is surprised to find Mylene working with Beatrice and quickly comes to realize that the two girls are quite strong. He tries to escape but fails as Mylene and Beatrice slice him down. As things in the city get worse, Beatrice decides to lead a troop to safeguard the kingdom. Clark supports her, and even Noelle arrives with powerful weapons in tow. All of them are working together to rid the city of the monsters and restore peace once more. Inside the training hall, the Duke has a menacing aura around him as he fights Edward and Akira. He recalls how his wife, Mariel, was gravely sick, and even though he has an ability that lets him see the future, it was completely useless to actually stop his wife from dying. He could do nothing for her, and her gift was the ability to give birth to a hero, but even that turned out to be false, as he considers Alan to be a failure. Because of this, he now has hatred for the gods who give people these special gifts which are useless against death. Akira mocks Duke for trying to destroy the entire world for not having his emotions in check. The Duke agrees that all this time he has been harboring immense hatred, which is the root cause of his plan, but he is too far gone now. He activates more powers, which he has received from the demons, turning into a menace who cannot be reasoned with. Akira tries to attack him, but fails miserably. The Duke then turns towards Edward, who tries to reason with him and tells him to stop using demon powers, but he doesn't listen and entraps Edward within his power. Edward struggles within the Duke's grasp as Akira watches on in horror. For a moment, Edward is transported into the Duke's consciousness and feels his emotions, but there is nothing he can do. He apologizes to the Duke, which causes him to stop in his tracks, but then he strikes Edward, stabbing his sword through him and killing him once and for all. The Duke then turns to hurt Akira, but is blocked by Alan, who finally faces his father. The Duke unleashes a powerful attack towards Alan, but he blocks it off with his sword, making the Duke feel surprised that his attack was deflected so easily. Alan tells his father that even though he always considered him to be a failure, now Alan has people that he wants to fight for, and believes that even his mother would not want this outcome. This angers the Duke, and he uses up even more demon powers and directs them towards Alan. This causes Alan to be transported into his father's consciousness, where he feels like he is drowning due to all of the negative emotions, but he finds a way to fight back when he thinks of his friends and all the people who have helped him. Alan uses his powers to strike down his powers, gravely injuring him in the process. But it doesn't bring him down. Instead, the Duke unleashes a swirl of power that is seen all over the kingdom. He appears to be almost unstoppable, but Alan releases his world-end ability and strikes his father. For a brief moment, a ball of energy and anger appears before him. And Alan thanks his father for teaching him a valuable lesson before stabbing the ball and releasing all of the power. The Duke is finally defeated as he slowly dissipates into nothing. He calls Alan a failure one last time and looks forward to reuniting with his wife. After the incident is over, the king praises Alan and makes him the Duke of Westfeld, but he politely declines as he still intends on living a simple life. Alan, Noel, and Mylene decide to journey onwards, but are interrupted by Lisa, who is also eager to join them. She reveals that she is now the ruler of a new domain, and her name has been changed to Lisa Westfeld. It seems the king gave her the title, allowing her more power and freedom. Now Lisa is also eager to continue her journey with Alan and the others. Meanwhile, Beatrice will have to make an effort to be Lisa's guard once more, since she no longer serves the same family, but it seems that the group will be continuing their adventures together. Alan wakes up from a strange dream, in which he sees his past hero's self and the god's disciple who was tasked with supporting him. She was the one who granted his wish and took care of him when he was badly hurt and shunned by society due to his immense powers. Alan wakes up from the dream, feeling nostalgic, and heads down for breakfast. Lisa has prepared food for everyone, and they all dig in as Noel and Mylene also join them. Currently, they are residing in the Westfeld Manor, which has been left under the care of Lisa. She has a lot of work to do, but she is hoping that Alan will help her out as well. This poses a problem as Noel also wanted Alan's help in testing out her new weapons, and even Mylene wanted to spend time with him. The girls argue over who gets to work with Alan, but in the end, Alan ends up doing all of the work, and at the end of the day, he is left tired. Later in the day, Alan informs them that he is thinking of heading towards the Empire. He feels like the Empire is a place where he could settle down and live a peaceful life. Noel and Mylene also wish to join him and see the Empire as well. The Empire is known to have dwarf smiths, and Noel is excited to meet them. Lisa feels a little left out because, as the new Duchess of the Westfeld Manor, she can't leave everything alone and has work that needs to be completed. Even so, the group decide to head towards the Empire, and Lise ends up leaving Beatrice in charge in her place. Beatrice feels sad about leaving the princess alone, but she knows that Alan will do a good job of saving her. The group begin their journey and ride in a carriage. The girls have a hard time as the road is incredibly bumpy, but there is no other way through, and they must endure the constant disturbances. After a while, Alan immediately stops the carriage. He notices sand wolves standing on top of the cliff waiting to attack. These creatures can be very dangerous, but Alan takes care of them. However, he still feels strange that such creatures were so strategically placed, and he begins to suspect foul play. The group arrives in a small town, a little distance away from the Empire. The town is lively and bustling with life all around. All of them are excited to go for some sightseeing, but Alan finds it weird that there are so many guards around and immediately goes on high alert. He ends up running into Henriette, the reincarnated version of the god's disciple who helped him in the past. Henrietta warns all of them to turn around and leave immediately because the Empire is no longer safe. The Black Wolf Knights, a faction of the Empire, are running rogue and can cause problems for them. Her warning seems sincere and leaves the group feeling worried. As she leaves, Alan ends up following her and inquires whether that warning was from her as a god's disciple sent to protect him. Henrietta dismisses his concerns and reveals she only has limited power now. She still emphasizes her warning and tells Alan to stay out of trouble. Alan parts ways with Henriette, and on his way back, he comes across a commotion and checks it out. A man runs towards with a knife, and Alan smacks him in the head, bringing him down. But then a strange sigil appears on top of the man, causing him to bleed profusely and die. The commander of the Black Wolf Knights appears and immediately finds Alan to be suspicious. She thinks that he has something to do with the man's murder and does not let him go easily, but then Alan disappears her eyes and she orders the guards to close all the gates and block the roads. Mylene, using her invisibility powers, helps Alan out of his tricky situation, and he reunites with Henrietta and the others. Now that Alan is in trouble, Henrietta decides to take them all back to her house where they can rest and stay safe. Henrietta reveals that the Emperor has been assassinated and she thinks the demons have something to do with it. Because of this, the Empire has been experiencing great turmoil and has kept the death of the Emperor a secret. This is why the security in the town has been on high alert. Later at night, Henriette and Alan discuss who might have killed the Emperor, and they both believe the demons had a hand behind the whole thing. Alan also acknowledges that he knows Henriette has been keeping an eye on him for a very long time. She becomes flustered and doesn't answer him properly, but deep down she knows it's true. Henrietta has been keeping Alan safe ever since he was reincarnated, and she is glad that he found someone like Lisa, who makes him happy. With the group stuck in Henrietta's manor for the foreseeable future, due to the guards in the town looking for Alan and being on high alert, none of them can leave and do other things. This greatly takes a toll on Noelle, who was eager to go sightseeing and meet dwarf smiths. She also hasn't had the chance to forge a weapon because she does not have access to a workshop. This leaves her feeling even more vulnerable and frustrated, and she starts going a little insane because of the restrictions. Alan suggests that since he is the only one the Black Knights are looking for, it should be fine for the others to go visit the town. At first, Henrietta has her reservations, but she allows Noelle and Mylene to go into town. Noelle becomes excited and heads into town with Mylene. The two of them visit dwarf smiths, eat delicious food, and go sightseeing. In the town, Noelle realizes that all of the elves in town are staring at her. Thinking that she is being admired for her beauty, Noelle doesn't mind the attention, but as soon as it starts to get too much, Mylene forces her away and takes her back to the house. Noelle tells the others about her encounter in the town, and Henriette has her suspicion as to why the other elves were acting like that. She decides to take Noelle and the others to the elven forest in the hopes to help find Noelle the answers to her past. The forest exists in a different dimension close to the mansion, and when Henriette breaks away the barrier, a rich and lush forest is revealed in front of everyone. Within the forest, countless elves live and prosper, and when they see Noelle, they all begin to bow down. Percival, the leader of the elves, welcomes Noelle as their sovereign. According to them, Noelle possesses the Eye of the Fairy, which is only passed down in the elven royal family. Noelle has the fairy eyes and is the rightful leader of the elves. Percival shows Noelle around and introduces her to the rest of the elven territory. They have been waiting for their sovereign for a long time, and everyone is happy to see her, even the children. While the group explores the elven forest, Lisette, the commander of the Black Knights who tried to arrest Alan, is also looking for a way to the elven forest. She tasks her subordinate Oswald to find a way as well and report back to her. Meanwhile, the elves hold a little celebration in honor of Noel returning, and everyone seems to be happy. Percival reveals that the elves have suffered greatly without their sovereign. They are unable to grow or reproduce without their leader and slowly die. However, Henriette has been helping them a lot over the years. She was the one to inform them of Noel, and she would also bring presents from the outside world to help the elves learn more about different cultures. Because of Henriette, the elves were able to acclimate to the outside world and freely roam within the city as well. Alan notices that there are some demons amongst the elves as well. Percival explains that Henriette saved some demon children from human prosecution as well. Unlike most people, Henriette does not immediately hate demons, and instead saves the ones she felt were harmless. This puts a smile on Alan's face, because Henriette has not changed one bit. As the night progresses, the elves provide a place for the group to rest. Noelle has a lot of thinking to do. On one hand, she has always wanted to forge weapons and became a smith like her master, but on the other hand, now she has responsibilities as the sovereign, and she feels conflicted about what to do. Alan meets up with Henriette and discusses the situation regarding the demon children with her. She reveals that demons are not a distinct race, and anyone harboring ill will can be recognized as a demon by the world. When demons have children, they usually cast them out and leave them in poor conditions, causing the demons to be hunted down by humans. It is a vicious cycle, and Henriette wishes to save the demon children from such a fate. The elves prepare a lavish feast for Noelle and her friends. Everyone is impressed by the spread of fresh fruits and vegetables. Even though the atmosphere is lively, Noelle is still unsure of how she wants to proceed and whether she wants to take up the position of the sovereign. Henrietta wishes she could help Noelle out, but in the end, the decision is up to Noelle alone. Henriette then leaves the group to sort out some matters in the town. Percival continues hosting the guests and tells them more about the forest and its connection to the elves. He explains that the forest and elves are one and the same. The forest listens to elves and provides everything for them: food, shelter, comfort. Hearing about life in the forest sounds very peaceful to Alan, and he starts to wonder whether he should settle in the forest for some time. The peaceful and simple life he has been looking for may be more achievable in a place like this, and Alan starts considering settling down. This intrigues the rest of the group as well, with both Lisa, Mylene, and Noelle also wanting to settle in the forest. Percival is informed that some visitors have entered the forest. Back in her mansion, Lisette, the commander of the Black Knights, visits Henriette and Henrietta tries to play it cool, but when Lisette mentions the elven forest, no desire to get involved in matters which do not concern him. He wonders whether the children being attacked is truly something worth his attention. But he still joins the others. When the others arrive at the scene, Percival is badly injured at the hands of Oswald, and he is about to kill the children, but as he falls unconscious, the rest of the party start to heal up. Lisa heals the children and commends Alan for saving the demon children. And did not deserve to be targeted, she is glad that Alan made the right choice. And the heartwarming talk. Even though she did not accept to be their sovereign right now, Alan and his friends begin their journey towards their own kingdom and start preparing their carriage for the journey ahead. Lisa remarks that she feels bad for not saying a proper goodbye to Henriette, but before they can continue further, a red-haired boy stops them and begs for their help. He introduces himself as Henriette's brother and informs them that the Black Wolf Knights have arrested her and charged her with the assassination of the Emperor. They are taking her to the capital, where she will be executed. He wants Alan and the others to save her. This comes as a great shock to the rest of the group, but they want to learn more. They go to an inn with Curtis and learn more about what has happened. Henriette and Curtis come from a noble family, but within their own clan, the two of them are shunned. Curtis is regarded as a weak failure, while a lot of people hate Henriette for her blunt manner of speaking and for having a strong personality. He believes that Henrietta has enemies who are trying to frame her, and he needs to rescue her, but he cannot do it alone. Alan needs more time to think about the situation. On one hand, Henriette is in great danger and has indeed been taken by the Black Wolf Knight who can dispose of her at any moment. But on the other hand, they know nothing about Curtis, and Henriette never mentioned having a bother. They could also be walking into a trap. Plus, the news came to them just as they were about to leave the Empire, making the timing as suspicious as well. In the end, Alan decides to accompany Curtis because he still has to save Henriette, and he does not want to abandon her. While Henriette is being escorted by the knights and is under the custody of Lisette, Alan and the others trust Curtis and use his carriage to travel to the capital in order to stop Henriette from being executed. Curtis has a mysterious-looking guard next to him, but he assures them that the guard can be trusted. All of them gather inside the carriage and set off on their journey. During the ride, Alan bluntly asks Curtis whether he is actually Henriette's brother, which causes the Order to panic a little, but Curtis comes clean. He reveals that he is a cousin to Henriette, but always treated her like a sister. She would listen to him and comfort him when he was ridiculed by his own family, but his parents did not want him to hang out with Henriette. He feels remorseful about not doing anything for Henriette when she was isolated by the family, and for leaving her alone when she was arrested. Everyone tries to comfort him and commend him for trying to save Henriette right now. Meanwhile, Henriette asks Lisette what happened to Oswald, and she reveals that he was pardoned for the incident at the forest and has been set free. Since Henriette is being charged with the Emperor's murder, the knights have accomplished their objective, and the details no longer matter. Henriette despises the type of people that run the Empire now after hearing this. Alan and the others arrive in a town where they stop for more supplies and resources, but their journey is halted when the gates of the town are closed off, and no one is allowed to leave. Curtis feels bad, because they know they may not reach in time to save Henriette, but the others assure him that everything will be fine. Alan suggests that they should try to gather more information about why the gates are closed, and he proposes to start off at the guild. Everyone agrees, but Curtis suggests that Noelle and Mylene should stay behind, as their races are not common in the Empire, and they are bound to attract attention. Lise and Alan head off to the guild together, and even though the situation is serious, Lise is happy that she gets to hang out with Alan alone. They enter the guild in cloaks and try to understand the situation. They find out that the knights are looking for 6 people who entered the town recently. This confirms that the gates of the city are closed off because of them. As they make their way out, a Black Wolf Knight enters the guild, demanding to know more about the 6 people. She tries to get the people of the guild to talk, but they are only garnered by her intrusion. When she reveals several gold coins to them as a reward for their compliance, some of them begin to point out Lise and Alan. Before the knight can capture them, the 2 of them start to run. The knight follows in pursuit and is hot on their trail, but she stops when she accidentally bumps into a kid who starts crying. The knight chooses to stay behind and help the kid instead of going after them. Alan and Lisa barely get away and stop in an alley where they catch their breath. In the distance, they hear some rumbling and notice smoke rising from the inn. This is where Curtis, Noelle, and Mylene were waiting for them. They quickly rush towards the location, only to find a destroyed building and Oswald standing on top of the rubble. He has Noelle and Mylene trapped, and he vows to take revenge for what Alan did to him in the forest. In his past life, Alan once saved an entire village from savage monsters, but when he tried to rescue a terrified child, he was ridiculed, and the child was too scared of him. He did not want to be saved by Alan, and this was the reality of the hero. Now, Alan is facing a similar situation where he must choose whether he wants to continue to be a hero or turn a blind eye and not concern himself with matters not related to him. As Oswald stands before Alan once more, the man grips tightly at Noelle and Mylene and threatens to kill them both. He is clearly trying to rile up Alan and edge him on so that he attacks, but Alan does not fall for the bait yet. As Oswald continues to put Mylene's life in jeopardy, Alan can no longer exist, and he slices off Oswald's arm. This causes the man to writhe in pain, but he also starts laughing. He already knew that Alan would defeat him easily and that there is no victory for him. But he still wanted to have the last laugh. He reveals that he has attached his explosives onto every single person nearby, and Alan can either choose to save his friends or the bystanders. If Alan tries to kill Oswald, he will only have to snap his fingers to kill everyone. Alan is put in a difficult spot. He realizes that he is no longer the hero, so does not need to save anyone else, but still, he cannot watch innocent people suffer. He uses his powerful abilities to remove the explosives from everyone and save them all. Oswald doesn't even realize what age he has hit him. He stares in shock and immediately admits defeat. Alan gets ready to execute Oswald once and for all, but just as his blade is about to strike, the vice captain of the Black Wolf Knights, Celia, begs him to stop. She wishes to take care of the matter on her own and urges Alan to let go of Oswald. At first, Alan really doesn't care and wants to kill Oswald, but he agrees to give him to Celia and let her take care of the matter. Alan and Lisa rest up in an inn while the others heal. Lisa informs him that the town is no longer closed off, and they can leave for the kingdom as soon as they want. However, Alan can't help but wonder who is working behind the scenes and ordering the Black Wolf Knights. Meanwhile, Celia reports to Lisette and tells her everything. She wants to know what to do with Oswald, but Lisette tells her that their leader is going to take care of it. Just then, a demonic monster swallows up Oswald and kills him, right in front of Celia. The following day, Alan and the others, along with Curtis, try to find a way inside the Empire where Henriette is imprisoned. They cannot pass the gate without a permit, and it will be difficult for them to get permits, considering how shady their entire group is. Lisa suggests digging up a hole which leads to the other side, and even though her plan is not practical at all, it reminds Curtis of the tunnels that run underground the Empire and can lead to the inside. They decide to use these tunnels to enter the Empire without being noticed. Curtis enters the Empire through the gates, while the rest are en route through the tunnels. At first, they come across some guards, but Mylene uses her powers to make everyone invisible. After some time, they run into Lisette, who can clearly see through Mylene's powers, and urges them to reveal themselves. She lets the rest of the group go, but wants to fight Alan. The girls reluctantly leave as Lisette and Alan begin their intense fight. The girls make their way out and meet up with Curtis once more. They watch the entirety of the Empire in fear as they see smoke rising from the direction of the tunnels. Apparently, the tunnels are caving in, and this could mean that Alan has been buried underneath the rubble. Everyone is worried for him, but for a brief moment, Curtis appears happy. However, the smile on his face vanishes when Alan teleports behind them. He assures Lise and the others that he is safe and uninjured and wants to quickly figure out how to get to Henriette. Curtis urges them all to take a rest and to think about their next move in the morning, but Alan uses the opportunity to teleport to the place where Henriette is being kept captive. He appears in her room, startling her, and expresses his worry for her. However, Henriette assures him that as a noble, she will not be executed, and at most will be exiled from the Empire. She forces herself to make Alan feel less worried and tells him that there is no need to save her. Alan does not get the hint and believes Henriette. He immediately takes his leave and teleports away, leaving Henriette feeling sad. The following day, Alan and the rest try to figure out their next move. Curtis informs them that Henriette has also been charged with colluding with the kingdom to bring the Empire down. This would mean that if word got out that Alan and the rest tried to save her, it would jeopardize the relationship between the kingdom and the Empire and could potentially cause a great war. In light of this, Curtis urges them to immediately leave the Empire and no longer try to involve themselves in the case. Curtis vows to save Henriette on his own. In the final moment, the veil falls off as Curtis's real plan and personality is revealed. He convinced Alan and the others to leave the kingdom, and now he plans on forcing Henriette to marry him. He informs Henriette that this entire time his plan was to become recognized as the emperor. Since his mother was a peasant, he cannot ascend the throne, but by marrying Henriette, he can become the emperor and rule over the entire empire. This entire time he has been manipulating the Black Wolf Knights to do his bidding and seize power for him. Henriette refuses to believe that her dim-witted cousin had the strength and wit to do this on his own, and Curtis reveals that he has the powers of the demons on his side, which has allowed him to exert his control and influence over others. He wishes to make Henriette marry him, so that together they can rule the empire and exact revenge on those who have wronged him. But Henriette hates him. She sternly refuses, and even though she is locked up, she will never conform to Curtis's wishes. Heroes, and their stories of bravery and selflessness, but the ending always made her sad. Heroes tend to die without rhyme or reason, and their demise is always sudden and unexpected. This is why, when Henriette was taking care of Alan as a hero in his past life, she made sure to protect him no matter what and guide him towards the right path. Frustrated by the lack of Henriette's cooperation, he wonders how to force her to accept his proposal, but then an idea pops into his head as dark smoke fills the air. Meanwhile, Noelle and Mylene fill up their carriage with more supplies, and when Alan realizes that Lisa wants to speak to him, Lisa alone. She expresses regrets about leaving Henriette in such a dire situation. She wants to go back and save Henriette, which makes Alan feel a little frustrated. He once again informs Lisa that Henriette told him that she did not need to be saved, but Lisa still thinks that they should save Henriette, since that would be the right thing to do. Take the right course of action as well. She reminds Alan and Lisa that they saved the town because it was the right thing to do, and they should sue the same reasoning for Henriette as well. This inspires something within Alan. Back in the jail cell, Curtis comes and pesters Henriette once more. This time, he tries to be more forceful with her and forces himself onto her. But when that also doesn't work, he unleashes his demonic powers and grabs Henriette's throat. He vows to kill her and become the emperor without heir help. He hurts Henriette, but before he can go any further, his attacks are removed by Alan. Celia is also present and stops Curtis. She does not want to serve someone so vile and greedy, and believes that Curtis is not worthy of being the emperor. Curtis's main plan was always to gain the favor of Henriette. Alan mocks Curtis's powers. With rage-filled eyes and purple aura all around him, Alan engages him in a battle. Curtis is no match for Alan, as he swiftly slices Curtis's powers effortlessly. Curtis is left completely enraged. For a brief moment, Alan meets Curtis in a strange realm where the two of them talk. Curtis wonders why Alan doesn't use his powers to control the entire world, but Alan simply informs him that he just wants to live a peaceful life. For him, world domination is just not interesting. Curtis expresses regret over not having such powers because he thinks that maybe then Henriette would have accepted him. In the end, the truth is buried, and people believe that Henriette was executed. Now Henriette can live freely with Alan and the others, and embark on adventures with the entire